Welcome, selectors, to Weekly Wharf Wixoss. In today's episode, we have the magical Milulun Setsuna facing off against the entirety of DXM, with Deus Three taking center stage. In this clash of control decks, who will take the upper hand? Find out coming up next. Welcome to the Gamers Wharf in Granville, Michigan. My name is Big E. Here, our selectors will do battle to determine this week's Weekly Wharf Wixoss champion. Let's meet our Elrigs competing today. On the blue side, we have Milulun Setsuna, a controlling Elrig who excels at taxing her opponent's spells, utilizing her own innovative ways, and searching for the perfect spell for any situation. Her pieces include Innocent Battle for card draw and deck refreshing, and Blue Knight Show for versatile tools like Signy Removal, Elrig Freeze, card draw, and discard effects. Assisting her today is Machina, who brings Signy Removal and Signy Recursion, and Hanyo for more Signy Removal and Enter Charging. With enough removal, Milulun can stay alive long enough for her spells to take effect. Be sure to watch out for that flurry of spells. Now let's take a look at our challenger on the red side. Deus Three is a controlling Elrig who empowers her allies by granting them soul, unlocking new abilities while sapping the strength of her enemies. She also excels at reviving her allies from the trash, ensuring their continued impact on the board. Each soul has a unique effect when applied to an allied Signy. Her pieces include Unknown Memory for Signy Removal, card draw, and Enter Charging, and Trigger Victory for Life Cloth Destruction and Signy Recursion. Assisting her today is X for card draw and Signy Removal, and Machina for Signy Removal, Signy Recursion, and damage prevention. DXM is out in full force pulling up all the stops to take victory today. Before we begin, a few things to note. These are casual matches played at our weekly in-store event. Any mistakes are corrected if caught. We welcome any feedback, including ruling clarifications, questions, or concerns. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Your suggestion may make it into a future episode of Weekly Wharf Wixoss. With that being said, we hope you enjoy this week's edition of Weekly Wharf Wixoss. Our selectors are making their final preparations. The Elrigs have taken up their positions on center stage. The stock crowd noise is cheering. So let's get ready to battle. Blue has won the dice roll and will be going first. And right out of the gate, there is a misplay. Blue will be drawing 2 cards here when they should only have drawn 1. Unfortunately, this was not caught during gameplay. Blue Enter charges and grows to level 1. Blue plays a Madoka Memoria down, which has an ability that whenever an opponent discards a card, you may discard a card, and then you can draw a card or enter charge 1. Next, Blue plays Random Drain, drawing a card and making Red discard a card. Blue then discards a card and draws a card. Finally, Blue plays another Madoka Memoria. As there's no attack phase in the first turn, the turn will now pass back to Red. Red is looking for some early damage here while they try to set up their trash for future turns. They start by Enter Charging and growing to level 1. Red plays Monkey Paw Dissona in the top lane, milling 3 cards. If there's 3 or more Dissona cards in the graveyard, she gets plus 5k. Red then plays a Musica Dissona in the bottom lane, paying 1 enter and vanishing the Madoka in front of it. Moving to the attack phase, Red starts by attacking with Musica, revealing a burst. This burst is down up to 2 target Signy on your opponent's field, downing the Monkey Paw. Next, Red attacks with Thirst Center, revealing another burst. This burst is either discard 2 cards to vanish target Signy, or opponent discards a card at random. Blue chooses a random card. The discarded card is another Monkey Paw Dissona. The turn passes back over to Blue, with Red having done 2 damage, revealing 2 bursts. Blue Enter charges and grows to level 2. Look for Blue to start causing more hand disruption this turn, as the key to victory here is to leave Red with no cards. Meanwhile, on the red side, red using Dissona cards in their kind of old school DXM deck is an interesting take. I wonder how this is going to turn out for them. Blue starts their turn by vanishing the Monkey Paw with the Machina Slash, getting back a Madoka Memoria from the trash. Blue makes a slight misplay here by not intercharging the Madoka Memoria already on the field, instead of having to trash it as their one trash per turn. They then play Bruno in the center lane. When Bruno attacks, opponent can either discard a card or you can draw a card. The Madoka Memoria makes her appearance again in the top lane. Next, Blue plays Trouble for 2 enter, drawing 3 cards. This is a deck that wants to have a lot of cards in hand. Hopefully that misplay from earlier is kind of overshadowed by all the card draw already in this deck. Blue then pays for her Exceed cost, making her Awakened, giving her plus 7k, making her a 15k level 2. It will be decently hard for a deck predominantly black to remove a 15k. Next, Blue grows Hanyo to level 1, vanishing the Musica and intercharging 1. We are now moving to the attack phase. Blue starts by attacking with Bruno in the center lane. Blue decides to make red discard a card, triggering Madoka Memoria. Blue discards a card and intercharges 1. Blue will need a lot of enter to cast all those spells later in the game. The damage now comes through, and it is not a burst. Next, Blue attacks with Madoka Memoria in the top lane, no burst. Next, they attack with Typhon Doomed Evil in the bottom lane, revealing yet another non-burst. Finally, they attack with Milulun, and a 4th non-burst. That is a very tough break for red. At the end of Blue's first attack, they've done 4 damage, revealing no burst at all. It'll be tough for red to recover from that, getting no help from their bursts, but let's see what they can pull out here. Hopefully all of their bursts are in the last 3 cards. Red intercharges and grows to level 2. Red grows their own Machina, vanishing the Madoka Memoria in the top lane, and getting back a Firecracker Dissona. Red needed that Firecracker Dissona as they're going to grow X to level 1, discarding that Firecracker to draw 3 cards. A very good support for card draw in red, which is not a normal ability that red has. Red plays their first piece of the game, Unknown Memory, vanishing the Typhon Doomed Evil in the bottom lane and drawing 2 more cards. That's a total of 7 cards they have drawn this turn, so hopefully in those 7 cards they've found some good answers to flip this board. Red starts by playing Rill Dissona in the center lane. When Rill attacks, if there's another Dissona card on the field, pay a red and colorless to vanish target Signy 8k or less. They then play Lalaru Dissona in the top lane, finally playing a spell. When a spell is played during the attack phase, Lalaru will enter burn blue for 1. The spell played is Emergence, getting back the Monkey Paw from the enter to hand, and then they play the Monkey Paw in the bottom lane, milling 3. Monkey Paw will get plus 5k, and we move to the attack phase. Blue has to enter burn 1, enter burning a black. Blue has no effects on their side, and red can start attacking. Red starts by attacking with Rill Dissona, paying the red and colorless to vanish the Bruno and having the attack damage go through. Let's see that life cloth, and we don't have a burst. Next, red attacks with Lalaru in the top lane, revealing a burst. This burst is discard a card and give something minus 12k, targeting the Monkey Paw. Finally, red comes across with Deus, and a servant is discarded, so no damage there. Red is able to sneak through 2 damage to tie up the life cloth totals. Now it's up to blue to keep up the pressure. They enter charge, paying 2 and growing to level 3. Milulun Setsuna makes red spells cost 1 more and has a pretty nifty once per game effect. Blue plays an M Modem in the bottom lane. Whenever you cast a spell, your opponent mills 2, And then at the start of your attack phase, you can take 2 spells out of your trash to give something up to minus 6k, 3k for each. Blue played another random drain, making red discard a card and drawing a card. Then blue plays their own piece, Innocent Battle, to make red shuffle their library back into the deck, and blue draws a card. This is a good way to counteract trash recurral synergies that red is trying to accomplish here. It's a very big blow for red. Blue plays Heket in the center lane, looking at the top 3, putting any number on the bottom of the deck, putting a couple on the bottom. Then plays another random drain. Next, blue plays a Lancelot in the top lane, paying 1 and vanishing the Lalaurie in front of it. Moving to the attack phase, blue removes a Trouble spell from their trash and gives the Rill minus 3k in the center lane. Red then grows Machina to level 2, Machina Bind, targeting both the Lancelot and the M-Odom. If they attack, they get minus 20k, and the attack damage does not go through. The only Signy that can attack is the Heket in the center lane, revealing yet another non-burst. That's 5 in a row. Finally, blue attacks with Milulun, and red discards a Servant, negating the damage. Blue only got 1 damage over that turn. This has to be the turn for red to turn it around, or they're going to very quickly run out of options. Red enter charges and grows Deus to level 3. Red starts by using their Game 1 ability, which is going to remove a piece from their elbow deck, removing Trigger of Victory, and exceeding 3, to return 3 cards from their trash to their hand without a guard. There are a lot less options in that trash though, because of that Innocent Battle from the previous turn. From their trash, red chooses a Kintoki Dissona, a Musica Dissona, and a Lalaurie Dissona. Red starts by playing the Musica Dissona in the center lane, paying 1 and vanishing the Heket. Next, red plays Kintoki in the bottom lane. This enter burns if blue has 2 or more enter. Next, red attaches a soul from Deus to the Lalaurie. This soul is Deus 1, which gives Lalaurie when it attacks, gives something minus 8k. Moving to the attack phase, since there's a soul in the field and blue has more than 2 enter burn 1. Blue then grows Hanyo to level 2, vanishing the Lalaurie, getting rid of that soul effect. Blue declines to use Hanyo's second ability. Red starts by attacking with Kintoki in the bottom lane, vanishing the M-Odom. Then attacks with Musica in the center lane, revealing a burst. This is down target Signy and freeze it, choosing to freeze the Kintoki, and red has to discard a card. Finally, red attacks with Deus, and blue discards a Servant, preventing that damage. Red is only able to sneak over 1 damage, tying up the life cloth at 2. Blue enter charges the Lancelot, and then plays their piece, Blue Knight Show. This is brutal for red, as blue will choose to put the Musica Dissona on the bottom of red's deck. Then blue will choose to draw 3 cards. And finally, we'll make red have to discard 2 cards at random, and red has to discard a Servant, leaving no cards in hand. Next, blue will activate Milulun's once per game, looking at the top 10 cards, in this case 7 cards, grabbing 2 spells from among them, putting them into the check zone, and then casting each spell 1 at a time. In this case, they grabbed 2 Troubles, drawing 3 cards, and then drawing 3 cards. But as blue only has 2 cards left in their library, they only draw 2 cards and have to refresh. Those last 2 life cloth matter very little, as blue has to win here or red will most likely take the win home. The burned life cloth was not a burst. Next, blue discards a Servant and a spell. In this case, they misplayed and discarded the wrong card, but they did have a spell in hand, so it is okay. This vanishes the Kintoki, leaving the board wide open. Blue plays a Pure Luck in the bottom lane, looking at the top 3 cards, and getting a random drain spell from among them, putting the rest in the trash. They then play another Pure Luck in the top lane, looking at another 3 cards, getting a Thrilling from among them. Next, they play the Thrilling, drawing 2 cards and then discarding a card. Blue then trashes the top Pure Luck and plays a Miko Miko Memoria in the top lane and a Heket in the center lane. The Heket triggers, looking at the top 3 cards and putting cards back on the top or bottom. We are now moving to the attack phase. Miko Miko triggers, looking at Red's hand. There's no cards to discard, so it is awakened, gets plus 3k. It passes over to Red, who then grows X level 2, vanishing the Heket in the center lane for 1 enter. Red really needs any help from their life burst this turn. Blue starts by attacking with the Pirlock in the bottom lane, revealing another non-burst, 6 in a row. Now Miko Miko attacks. Are we going to make it 7-0? Another non-burst. That makes a complete game of no bursts for Red. And the attack comes through from Milulun, and we have good game. Despite all the setbacks, Red was actually in a good place to win here, as just 1 or 2 bursts could have changed the trajectory of this game completely. Looking at the scoreboard, we have Milulun with 4 bursts and Deus with 0. If my math is right, that's about a 1% chance. Anyways, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Weekly Wharf Wixoss, and we'll see you on the next one.